First, you're not dog water for not knowing all the chords in the chord books, because there's literally thousands of them that you could learn. And the problem with chord books is they don't really teach you how all those chords tie together, and they don't show you any common patterns between them. And so they present all these chords as something that's going to take a lifetime to be able to learn, when in reality, you could probably learn everything that goes into making every chord out there within the matter of a month or two if you focused on it full time. Now, as for what it takes to build all those chords ever, are 1, specific intervals, 2, chord formulas, I'll call them, and then 3, chord shapes. Now, specific intervals are terms like a minor third or major third or a perfect fifth or a minor sixth, things like that. And chord formulas are things like, well, a major chord has a root note, a major third, and a perfect fifth. And a minor chord has a root note, a minor third, and a perfect fifth. And a suspended 4 chord has a root note, no third, a perfect fourth, and a perfect fifth. And a dominant 7 chord has a root note, a major third, a perfect fifth, and a minor seventh. So things like that. And then chord shapes. And chord shapes take those chord formulas and actually turn them into things on the fretboard. So for example, if you're to play an open E major chord and an F major chord that you bar the first fret on, you'll notice that the shape of E major and the shape of F major are exactly the same. The only difference is that F major has that bar on the first fret, which essentially acts as a capo. Same thing for E minor to F minor. And so those chord formulas, like the major and the minor, each have a corresponding shape that is then movable around the fretboard. So what all this means is if you know chord formulas, which essentially are a root note with a series of specific intervals in relation to that root note, and then you know all the specific intervals, you can then build any chord off of that and any extensions to those chords. So think like adding 9s and 13s and all sorts of crazy stuff. And then by doing that, you can then find what that actually looks like on a fretboard via a shape. It's kind of like a shortcut. And then that shape can move anywhere on the fretboard. So let's do an actual example of this. A chord book is going to teach you, here's E major, and here's E7, and here's E7 sharp 9. That's 3 different chords, not to mention all the different places that they can be put on the fretboard, but let's just start with those 3. And then they're going to teach you each of those chords, but now do it for F major, F7, F sharp 7 sharp 9, F sharp major, F sharp 7, F sharp 7 sharp 9. So basically 36 different versions of those chords. And again, we're not talking about all their inversions or all the different places they could be put on the fretboard, which then multiplies that even further. It gets very overwhelming very quick. Versus, you know what a major shape and formula is, which is a root note, a major third, and a perfect fifth. So you have 1 chord. And you know that a 7 is just a major shape, but it adds a minor 7th on it. Okay, now you have 2 chords. But what's also cool about that is because of other chord formulas, you know what happens if you add a major 7th on it too. So you actually now know 2 chords with just these 2 elements. I'm sorry, 3 chords, right? Because you have your major, your 7th, and then another variation, which is a major 7th, of a 7th degree on top of a major chord. All right, so 3 total chords. And then you add the sharp 9, which you just know is an extension of a specific interval on top of that. So boom. Now, that sharp 9 could be added to a regular major, the 7th that we're talking about, and even a major 7th. So now you have, with just these 3 elements, a regular major, a major with a sharp 9th on it, a dominant 7, a 7 with a sharp 9 on it, and a major 7 with a major 7 and a sharp 9. So now you know 6 chords knowing just these 3 things. And considering now you know the shapes of these 6 chords, knowing only these 3 elements, those shapes can move to E, to F sharp, G, yeah. So now we multiply all that by 12, which gives us 72 different chords that we now know, and we only had to learn 3 things. Versus a chord book, which will teach you 36 chords in 36 different ways. 3 for 72, 36 for 36. And so in this example, a chord book requires you to work literally 12 times as hard to learn half as much. So I'm laying in bed making this. I can, if you want me to, I can actually show you this on a guitar or a whiteboard. And I did make another video that kind of dives into this. If you want, I can link that as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Learn specific intervals, chord formulas, and chord shapes. And then those chord books will make really good kindling for a fire.